Welcome to the FullyCrypto podcast.
Hello and welcome to the FullyCrypto podcast, your home of quality cryptocurrency and blockchain news, reviews, opinion and more. My name is Mark Hunter, and joining me as always is the man who hasn't enjoyed a hard fork since Bitcoin Cash. It's Alex Mears.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm not too bad, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Been following this Bitcoin Cash fork. It's been really interesting so far. There's a lot I think you can learn about it if you read into it.
Yeah, I think you and Roger Ver are the only people that are following it because everyone else is watching the Bitcoin price going up. But it seems like, as always, there's quite a bit going on behind the scenes there.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's really covered it, but I think there's a very poignant point in there that a lot of people have just not picked up on. And I think when you pick up on that, it becomes a very interesting fork that could and should have social and economic changes around the globe, but people just are ignoring it. It's kind of scary.
Well, I think that's something we should ignore no longer and maybe talk about this week on our news roundup.
We're going to have to. I'm going to force you to if you don't let me.
You'll do it at gunpoint from all the way across the Mediterranean. You'll still manage to find a way to do it to me.
Yeah, I'll find an old British weapon. The British ones are always reliable, aren't they?
Well, we are delighted to be joined tonight by Kristjan Kangro, the founder and CEO of Change Invest, a cryptocurrency onboarding platform, exchange and wallet. Christian, welcome to the FullyCrypto podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to speak to you. Why don't you start by telling us a bit about yourself and how you got into crypto and how Change got started?
In Singapore, I worked in VC. So basically, I was really kind of exposed to like where the fintech innovation is going. Mm-hmm. And I mean, from the VC, basically, I really moved into blockchain more and more to the point where basically Change really like started to solve this decentralized services part of finance. Obviously, like now we pivoted a bit, but still I think like our mission is still to enable everybody to take part in real success, and kind of access a financial system is really one of the main drivers for us.
What year did you get into cryptocurrency? Were you an early adopter, or did you sort of come late to the party?
I think I was following this the entire 2016 and 2015. I think I also played around with crypto, but I think the first big investment I did January, February in 2017. Mm-hmm. But I think because the company, how Change got started was really it's supposed to be like a debit card and like a marketplace of financial services. So it was like API banking, it was the term back then. Mm-hmm. But then more and more we realized actually blockchain already has this basic kind of a trusted layer in the middle where you can build the services, and then the company kind of pivoted from API banking. The kind of direction it was founded upon to really building decentralized services. So our crowdfunding as well in 2017 was actually one of the only white papers who actually talked about decentralized services already in 2017.
You were one of the first ones to get on board with crypto debit card platforms that did crowdfunding, and then the other sort of piggybacked off that, didn't they? They sort of said, "Oh, that works. That's a good idea. Let's do that."
Well, yeah, exactly. I think we were one of the only ones. And I think in Europe, I mean, to this day, I think we're one of the biggest players in the crypto debit card space. There's been a lot of issues with integrators, but we have been online most of the time. So basically today you can, top up our account with Bitcoin and pay with Visa anywhere in the world.
It's incredibly slick, fast and easy to use. I mean, obviously we're going to go more into a platform in a minute, but it's definitely great fun. It's one of the best I've used so far, personally.
Yeah, thank you.
So what is the ethos behind Change then? When you started it, what was your ambition, and has that changed since you've been operating it?
So basically the mission, how we define our mission is basically enable everybody to take part in real success. And I think this has really stayed the same basically all over the years. So my story was that I was in a VC in Singapore, and I was quite young back then. And then what happened, the CFO of the VC company quit. And I got a really early exposure to actually being all of the investment committee meetings. And investment committees basically VCs, decide where they want to invest or not to a startup. And one thing what I was always pondering with my boss back then is, you have all of these innovations where doing everything better than a bank, like investment services, insurance, credit, and so on. but like why cannot you but why don't people all around the world kind of like get access to these services? And actually the reason is like it's the regulation. Also, there's no one place where you can actually access all of these these services. And I think like my passion really was like, how do you combine these fintechs, blessing cash services to one platform, basically? So that was basically like the motto. And like, I think like in essence, financial services would be so much better if there would be global competition for services. Right now, for example, like you have like one kind of like a payment system in Indonesia, one investment service in Europe, one in like credit service in Singapore, but like they're not competing with each other. And obviously more competition means better services. So that's kind of my story, how like in VC I started thinking about it. And then obviously like at some point I got into blockchain through that, because like some of the people were saying, oh, but on blockchain you can already like basically build decentralized services. And I mean, that's how Change pivoted from API banking and bringing all of these best-in-class fintechs together, but to become like what we now call a crypto bank.
Are you looking on bringing those values to the Change app? So, for example, are you going to allow users from all over the world to sign up and start using the card?
Yeah, so like that's our intention, but obviously like like let's say like reality hit us with the fact that like obviously like there's a lot of regulated business being involved as well, like in building basically investment app. And for example, like let's take a debit card example, like the debit card we can only ship in Europe. So if you were to, for example, expand to US, we need to do basically a new integration. Like there's a lot of like basically fixed cost going in there. Also like same in Southeast Asia or anywhere. I mean, I think that's one of the big problems what like a lot of these crypto debit cards did, like 10x, for example. They expanded everywhere, but the business model was not there yet. The unit economics was not there yet. So yeah, like the ethos is the same, but yeah, we right now like we're focusing on Europe, because like I think like in order to get like let's say good unit economics, you need to focus on a certain region.
Yeah, exactly. Start small and then grow outwards rather than try and service the whole world and you've not nailed it yet.
Yeah, I mean, like one thing what we realized is like we in the beginning we were also like talking about decentralized services. Like for European customers at least, like we can offer these decentralized services. I mean, we are one of the basically most used crypto rails in Europe, and basically like people can use decentralized finance with all of these cryptos what they can get from Change. So we kind of like fulfilling our mission to a certain extent, but obviously now we're looking actively how we actually bring like DeFi closer and make it as easy as like getting into crypto through our app. Like, so that's kind of like the direction we're going. But yeah, it's obviously we would like to be open to everybody in the world, but yeah, it's regulation kind of is there as well. So you kind of need to play basically on the border on the border there.
Yeah, I think regulations bite everyone, don't they?
How are the regulations in Estonia? Because obviously there's a lot of the is it the e-citizenship? Is that what it is? The e-citizenship you have out there?
E-residency, yes.
E-residency, that's the one. So obviously there's been a lot of talk how that hasn't worked. What's been your experience of the regulatory system over there, and how has it both helped you and held you back?
So basically, like the Change product today is really like kind of like it has like different kind of regulatory frameworks. Like for example, the card is from the UK regulation. The crypto licenses is in Estonian regulation. And for actually like the derivatives, what we offer, for example, if you want to invest in Bitcoin with leverage or short Bitcoin, this is actually a partner in the Netherlands, basically who has an investment firm license. Wow. So we have basically 3 different countries where we, where we're regulated in. I think in Estonia, like the crypto regulation has been quite forward looking. I mean, it was one of the first basically like laws being kind of like let's say like adopted in the whole European Union. But obviously this also attracted a lot of like bad actors as well. So at some point we had so many of these crypto players that we couldn't kind of keep control of it. But yeah, I think like in general, like I'm super happy with the crypto regulation in Estonia. And I mean, like like how we try to run our business as well is like we didn't want to do this kind of a Binance model where it's like gray zones, regulatory solutions. We went like all in. So basically to really build the trust with the users. So like I think like our like internal procedures and how with regulatory or compliance wise we built up the company is really like next level. And I think like that's one of the reasons why basically like our let's say like traction is going up as well, like because people trust this kind of thing.
So your fee model is literally one of the best I think I've seen out of regular exchanges and apps that are like yourself. How on earth do you manage to stay afloat and pay the bills, not taking any fees on Bitcoin trading?
You would be surprised how many people actually like only trade Bitcoin. So indeed, like our USP in Europe is like we are the best place to buy Bitcoin. Like basically, like if you take the whole funnel of having euros on your bank account, then getting the crypto and sending the crypto out or keeping it in our wallet, the fees on the entire flow is actually the cheapest. And like I think the user experience is really good as well. But you would be surprised how many people actually like start with Bitcoin and then go to other cryptos. And then obviously we charge fees on this. And I mean, obviously our card costs as well. And I mean, there are other revenue streams as well, so to speak. I mean, we can expand with this kind of unit economics. So it's I think like, and it also fulfills our mission that basically like, if you really want to get into crypto, you want to take part of real success, that basically like, we want to make at least this action really easy for the user.
Yeah. Well, no, it's incredibly easy to do. I think it's a lot more simple as well than I think a lot of people understand. It's with your app, for example, it's literally just you click a button, swipe up, and you're done. There's no hassle, there's no fiddling, there's no trying to guess the market price. You don't have to input anything extra. You just put how much you want to buy, and it's done.
Exactly. And in the future, what we want to do is like basically that you're going to convert anything to anything. So basically, like obviously right now you still have basically like a base currency, what is euro. But like the future, what we want to go to is basically you can convert between Bitcoin to Ethereum to Tesla stock to Netflix. So basically you don't have this kind of like let's say fiat kind of like being pushed on you as like a lot of investment apps basically are pushing. So basically that you can really convert from anything to anything. So have this kind of a continuous flow of assets was pretty cool. And you can also use a debit card to pay in Bitcoin, or you can use it to basically pay in Tesla stock, for example. So that's like the kind of like asset, like future, what we're imagining.
That'd be really cool. Because I think there's only Coinbase that offers that at the moment, the instant exchange, isn't there?
Exactly. But I mean, I think like exactly like Coinbase offers that exactly for cryptos. I think like our vision is really to go beyond cryptos as well, and actually like go into stocks and also like tokenized assets like real estate, peer-to-peer loans, startups. So it's kind of like creating like the kind of this continuous flow of different kind of assets in addition to crypto.
Yeah. No, that'd be really cool to have. It'd make using the platform a lot more simpler, a lot quicker, and a lot more smooth. Definitely be an exciting feature to have and be able to play with.
How long do you think it's going to be before you can kind of expand in that way? What's your timeline for the moving into other markets?
Oh yeah, so basically like today already, basically our beta group can invest in Tesla and basically public company derivatives. So for example, in my app, you can already invest in Tesla. It was pretty cool. So I think that this will be live for all users in the month of November. So basically you can also invest in Tesla. So that we managed to do. Then next year we also want to do like physical stocks. So right now the public companies are through derivatives. So we want to do physical stocks as well. So yeah, it's exactly like the right time to ask, because right now we're launching it.
Do you handpick the stocks? And if so, how do you decide which ones to add?
No. So basically like we had like a survey with our users, and basically like what our users want to do. And by the way, it's widely documented as well. What are the most basically like popular stocks in Europe? Actually, you'd be surprised that in millennials, almost all countries, the most popular stock is Tesla.
Tesla, yeah, that's not a surprise.
Yeah. So it's but I mean like it's quite well documented. Like our target group is millennial generation, and they're super crypto prone as well. And basically like we did survey with our users, and we also like use external research. So mostly it's going to be like US public companies, obviously via derivatives, and also indices like SP 500, German index, and so on.
It's interesting because even though cryptocurrency is the asset class for millennials, there seems to be a certain section, it's mainly the tech stocks, isn't it? There's a certain section that is getting millennials excited about trading traditional stocks as well.
Quite a few people I've spoken to, they're all into these EV things, sort of green energy.
Oh, okay.
Green energy and electric vehicles, they're really hot with the younger kids.
Yeah, I think social. Yeah, I think like this kind of a social cause, like, or let's say like social investing, and I think this is definitely a trend. But I think like I don't know why, but there's something with this millennial generation that we like to like invest in innovation. Like really, like I think like Bitcoin is like a startup. Like if you think about it, like it's like a super risky startup investment, kind of. Obviously, like it has like a super big mission. Like to obviously in the beginning was to build like peer to peer, let's say like money. But basically like it is still a startup. Like if it succeeds, it's going to be a new kind of money or let's say like asset for on top of what you can build anything. But obviously it can also fail. There's always this probability as well, but there's like strong technological basic aspect behind it. If you take, for example, Tesla as well, what's let's say it's publicly traded company. I mean, it has a super big mission as well, like Bitcoin, right? So I think like there's something with millennial generation. They want to like back these innovations and kind of maybe look back when they're old and say like, oh, like I helped a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Just from how you were talking there, you don't see Bitcoin as being a potential currency. It's more of an asset, a store of value. Do you think?
Yeah, I think like one thing like what I learned in VC is like if I would know it, then obviously like it's a like let's say nobody really knows where it's gonna evolve. But I think like right now I'm definitely seeing this as a digital gold. I mean, right, like yeah. So basically, like I don't see. Let's say like I don't see like right now the speed and cost of let's say transacting in Bitcoin as being like a 10x product of fiat. So yeah, so definitely I'm seeing it right now as a like, let's say like a store of value, digital gold kind of thing. But yeah, never know where it's gonna kind of get to. Especially now, like I mean, PayPal basically like let's say you can buy cryptos there as well. Maybe at some point you can like right away like paying cryptos as well. Through PayPal, for example, but still like the fees are too high, right? Like to right now, so like we need to solve that somehow. And I mean, it's the same with the DeFi, right? Like it should be democratizing basically financial services, I mean decentralized services. But if like every decentralized trade on Uniswap will cost you like let's say 15 euros, then it's not really democratizing, right?
I guess in some ways it's the price you pay for decentralization. There has to be a cost. I mean, it should be cheap, but then if everything is decentralized, you are at the whims of the entire community because there's no one person to kind of have control, have their hand on the reins of the speed and the cost. So if everyone's piling in, that's just what happens. So it is. I mean, we found this with Bitcoin's transaction speeds and transaction costs in 2017 and the Ethereum network as well. When it gets really, really popular, it just can't perform. And that is a problem compared to centralized systems.
Yeah, I mean it is, but I think there are solutions there. I mean, basically, like I mean, Vitalik as well is like a smart guy, and like there are a lot of like super smart people in this industry. I think we'll get there. So in terms of like transaction speed and cost as well, but it's just gonna take some time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think people need to realize they're not just investments to make money off really quick. I think people need to start using them. I think it's when people start using them and stop treating it as some investment, then it'll even out, I think, and it'll learn to grow.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think you touched on a good point. I think like one of the issues that we have, but obviously otherwise people wouldn't talk about cryptos, but like one of the issues is like there's so many people are looking at Bitcoin as a speculative asset and they just basically on leverage like trading it. But let's say less focus. It feels to me that sometimes less focus goes into actual use cases and building something cool on top.
Fidelity came out with something yesterday. They basically argued 6 common misconceptions and 6 criticisms about Bitcoin that they still come up against. And one of them they said was the argument is that Bitcoin has failed as a currency. And their argument is that it maybe was once upon a time, but now it's not the right cryptocurrency to use for like a coffee shop purchase, but there is potential for it as a currency when you're making big purchases, like massive kind of interbank transactions that would normally cost you a fortune. That those are where Bitcoin is most suitable. So I think there is an argument to say that Bitcoin could be used on a regular basis as a method of payment, but the older it gets and the more other cryptocurrencies catch up, I think it's probably had its time as that kind of micro-transactional thing, unless something like the Lightning Network really takes off. But I just get the feeling it's had its day, and I think they were right that there's a place for Bitcoin as a transaction medium, but it's for big transfers, like if you're buying a house or a car or something, that's when it could be useful.
Exactly, but it also goes like to the discussion whether like you even need to have custodian like wallets for, let's say, like everyday purchases. I mean, a good argument is like change, right? Like, I mean, you can have your hardware wallet and then you can transfer, let's say, 2,000 euros to a change account. What is basically obviously not, let's say, obviously change takes care of it with Bitco. But for example, because we take care of it, then you can actually pay in Bitcoin with, let's say, like zero fees. You don't need to pay the transaction costs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe for, let's say, everyday purchase, you don't even need to have this full decentralization. Obviously, like we don't know as well, like what's going to be the end game. Obviously, like somebody can still shut it down because it's like a fiat system and so on. But for example, you can top up with crypto, put 2,000 euros and change, pay for a coffee. Basically, you don't need to pay the transaction fee for Bitcoin. But then, let's say, for bigger purchases, have a hardware wallet and do like decentralized finance from there, for example. So yeah, just like let's say some food for thought.
The issue that I've got with the crypto debit cards is that you have to change your cryptocurrency into the local fiat currency on an app or through the website first of all before you can make the transaction with the card.
Yeah, so right now we're actually engineering this that you could right away do it in cryptos. But yeah, right now you can top it up with Bitcoin, but you will, for example, let's say like for a week, you will just need to still sell crypto first and then make a transaction. Mm-hmm. But we will, like, I mean, our vision is like really to kind of like create this endless flow of assets that you can convert from any asset to any asset, but also pay with them. So this is actually in engineering right now that you can right away pay with Bitcoin as well.
Is it only a technological thing, or is there a regulatory issue behind that?
It used to have a regulatory issue like a couple of years ago, but now basically there's no regulatory issue. It's only the tech basically like challenge. So it can be done. It couldn't be done directly from a hardware wallet, but from a product like Change, what basically like has customer keys. Basically, like with this kind of product, you can do it. But for us, it has been basically like, yeah, we'll focus like really hard to actually build the best crypto investment app first. And the kind of like, we haven't put so much effort on the card lately. But now I think like we definitely like want to get this out soon, that you can actually pay directly in Bitcoin, because that's kind of like the ethos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be huge, definitely, because there aren't too many in Europe doing it. I think that, again, like I said earlier, there's only Coinbase, and I know Wirex have it in the pipeline, but
yeah, exactly. Actually, like our card integrator is same as Wirex, so basically, like probably the product is kind of quite similar.
Okay.
Do you find that people realize they have to pay tax on, when they convert cryptocurrency to fiat currency, either on the platform or when they buy something with the card? Do you think that many people realize that there could be a tax implication when they go shopping with their change card?
Well, it depends on a country, right? Like basically in European Union, there are many countries that treat cryptos differently. Mm-hmm. So in Estonia, I think definitely like people do realize this, because like it has been in media and so many times. But obviously, like I think only 5% of our customers are Estonian. So like 95 is basically from all the other countries in the world. Mm-hmm. So I think we have 31. We have customers from 31 countries right now. We're like paying customers. So obviously, like I wouldn't be able to tell about like, let's say other users, but Estonians definitely do realize this.
Do they see it as a negative thing, or does it not put people off?
I mean, they see it as a negative thing, but like obviously, like they're requesting from us to actually do like legal entity accounts, so corporate accounts. Because in Estonia, there's a really good tax system. So if you have basically if you have a corporate legal entity, then you pay like zero corporate income tax in Estonia. So you only basically pay tax when you take out dividends, 20%. So like a lot of people are requesting this. So that's our solution, kind of. Okay. I mean, Estonia, it's especially crazy because if you do trades, like one trade like is profitable, one is in a loss, then you only pay like then you basically like you cannot like kind of like even these trades up. Like okay, like let's say a combination of the two trades, I made like 100 euros and you pay tax. You only pay tax basically like on the basically like on one trade. So what's even worse? So you cannot kind of like tax deduct the losing trade.
Really? You can't claim tax on your losses?
Exactly. That's crazy for private persons in Estonia. Can't do it. So it's a little
scary.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah. And actually you need to report like every trade as well. So it's like, it's pretty crazy like here, but like most people just have legal entities and they just do it through this. So that's like easy solution. And I mean, that's why as well, like what we also want to get like legal entities like to our platforms. So then we like once we can onboard corporate, then we can have all the e-residents of the world to actually use our product as well. So that's one of our big goals. So then we really like are like let's say we have global onboarding.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's really cool. So you guys have this it's like a fiat investment thing where you can get, is it 2% APR? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and how it works?
Yeah, so basically, like with a card, like we actually like how we position the card is like a high yielding card. So we are using like different service providers to basically create this 2%. For example, we're using BitGo, we're using Kraken, we're using some lower risk like crypto, let's say like a crypto or fiat lending providers. So from all of these like basically lending providers, I mean it's BlockFi, BitGo, Kraken, like also like some less risky ones. So we basically put together like optimal portfolio where it's like more or less safe, but people could earn money, let's say yield on their assets.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's the product. And then I mean, a lot of people actually use that because like they don't want to like go to all of these different providers like BlockFi and BitGo and Celsius and they just basically like, and also like maybe the risk there might be too high to just do like full like one platform. So I mean, yeah. So basically that's kind of the solution what we came up with.
Okay, no, that's a good solution. So how would you prevent something happening like it did with Cred, for example, that had a similar system where they would lend the money out to other companies and their CFO was just putting the money in his account, not necessarily the right account? How do you guys prevent that sort of mess from happening?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure like in their case how regulated they were, but like we have licenses in 3 different countries and we have quite a big compliance team. And so it's let's say like I think like it's just a matter of professionalism and also the people who you have. I think in our company it would never be possible to just put money on our account because we're doing audits. Like all the legal entities are audited. We have 3 regulators who are basically watching our every move. So yeah, it's a little bit of a different game. Let's say in 3 years we'll look back and see whether it was like the right decision to do or not. But like we went to this fully regulated, like let's say route in Europe. And I think like a lot of people like in the early investors will, I mean, we have 7,000 crowdfunding investors today. So basically like we always get the constant feedback. We have a Telegram group with thousands of people. And, you know, like our vision was to build this, let's say, marketplace for financial, let's say decentralized services. And like we have always this dilemma that like, what's the regulated route really the way to go? Because obviously if you do non-regulated route, then you can potentially build like really like, let's say you can have regulatory arbitrage with DeFi. For example, you can have like regulated services being provided by DeFi platforms, and like, let's say regulator cannot go after them. So we decided we're going to go the fully regulated route, and obviously, like in 3 years, we can see whether like like it was a right way to do it or not. But yeah, that was a decision, and we're right now standing by. And I think at least in Europe, it's taking off. But obviously the decentralized service is harder to execute with a fully regulated proposition.
Yeah. Regulations always make everything harder, but it's safer for the users at the end of the day. So if they care about their safety, they're always going to come to you over an unregulated solution.
Well, yeah, but like let's like just let's say like talk about it. So for example, like if you take Uniswap, what's super popular there is you can trade anything. Like you can have any kind of a token, and this token can even be a security. But you can still trade it there. So basically, like if obviously like as a regulated business, we cannot provide a lot of things. What Uniswap, for example, can because they're not regulated. So it's like let's say like there are pros and cons. But yeah, I do subscribe to your point of view. I think like the regulated ways to do it, and especially breaching this fiat world to crypto world, I think there's going to be a lot of value there.
We've had this regulations discussion in the past, and I think if we were talking 3 or 4 years ago, you may have had more of a case for going the unregulated route and trying to build and build and build and then sort of begging forgiveness or maybe trying to fit around regulations as and when. But the way things are going now, I think we've seen more regulation this year than we have ever in crypto, and it's only going to get more and more as the years go by. So you might be at a slight disadvantage now, but with what you're building and the fact you're building it in the right way, if we talk again in 3 years' time, I think you will find yourself in a much better position and much more ready to take on what crypto is going to be in the years to come, as opposed to where it is now, if you take my point.
I got you. Definitely, you're right. I mean, that's the kind of like the hypothesis what we built upon. So, like, we're gonna be like perfectly positioned if it's gonna be mainstream. If our product like is regulated, but has like still like crypto top ups, crypto payments, like a lot of these crypto elements still fully in the product offering. I mean, for example, take like Revolut. Like they are saying they have cryptos, but actually they're like derivatives, and like you cannot actually send in crypto. For example, with Change, you can still send in crypto. You can like convert crypto and pay in a shop, for example. But still, like it resembles like an investment app. So yeah, it's like exactly these are some of the considerations that you said. Why we kind of like have gone this route.
That's where a lot of people that are coming to crypto through the likes of PayPal and through Revolut, who don't realize it's not real crypto, the ones that do try and then withdraw it and find they can't, they're the people that are more likely to find you afterwards, because they maybe kind of fall down the rabbit hole a bit and they realize what's actually good about it, but they realize that they can't do what they want to do on the platforms they've used. So that's, as it gets more mainstream, you will find a certain subset of people finding their way over to platforms like yourself that look like the apps they've used in the past, but actually are the real thing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's our hope.
So you guys are sort of piggybacking on their almost laziness to actually put in the hard work and put in the real crypto, for example.
Well, yeah, I think like Revolut is focusing on so many things. I think it's going to be hard to basically do everything. And yeah, I think like we kind of like, let's say, set ourselves a vision that we want to be like the most used like crypto investment app in Europe by 2022. And like for this, like I think crypto users value different things than, let's say, like average like a Revolut user.
Yeah. Well, how far do you have to go, like, to get there? Like, how far behind are you right now?
I mean, right now we have 35,000 customers. So, so basically, like, let's say, like, in order to get there, we still need to be talking about millions. So it's let's say, like, it's a north star kind of a goal. But like most importantly, like the unit economics are good for us, so we can expand. We can put like more marketing money in and expand the product offering. So yeah, it's doable, but definitely like but even like let's say like if I think right now we're probably like top 10 like crypto investment apps in Europe, like if you take like let's say our growth and user base. So I mean, even if we can contribute and being like the third or fourth biggest crypto investment app, like imagine how many people we got into crypto, this new paradigm. So I think we still had like a really big impact on the world.
Could it be down to perhaps an awareness thing? Like if people found out they could actually buy and sell Bitcoin for free, I think a lot more people would come knocking.
No, exactly. But I think like still like I think like our let's say like our customer assets like in 2020 like have 10x, like our volume is 10x like crypto purchasing volume. So we're probably gonna do over 100 million of crypto trading basically in 2020. So it's like last year it was like 7 million. So it's definitely like if the growth can stay on this trajectory, I think everything is possible.
I mean, you've managed to do that at a time when, even though Bitcoin's at sort of 17 odd thousand, one of the amazing things about this recent run we've had is that no one's talking about it. It's not in the media at all. When we were at this point in 2017, it was going crazy. Twitter was full of very different sorts of people. It was everywhere. And if you've managed to increase your trading volumes whilst it's not really been talked about in the media, when we get to 20, 30, 40,000 and you get new people coming in, that's when you could suddenly see the massive increase in user numbers, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, I'm just checking, like right now it's in euros, Bitcoin is already 15,000 euros. So it's like it's definitely 2017 levels.
This is the amazing thing, is that there's the kind of Twitter social media side of things is nothing like it was, nowhere near as big as it was. And it's amazing that we've got to this point and it's just not really being commented on. I find that really, really strange, but it's a good thing because it means that we're really far away from the point where the whole thing stops and reverses again.
Yeah, but I think the Twitter mania is going to suck when it's going to make a all-time high, basically.
We've said the same thing. Up until 20,000, it's not coming into the media because there's so many other things to talk about. Once it gets past that, you'll start seeing the stories creep in and then you'll start seeing people getting involved. And I think guys like you are going to be perfectly placed, because you compare this to three years ago, there wasn't the infrastructure in place for people to go and easily buy it. There was, Coinbase and one or two other places, but with the fees and everything, it was not really ideal. But if you can position yourselves to be one of the chief onboarding platforms with the reduced fees you've got, that really, really could see your numbers kind of shoot up.
No, exactly. I mean, it's crazy how correlated like crypto price is to volume, and how so basically, like if the price jumps, like you cannot imagine like on the, let's say from the inside of that, how much load is coming. For example, probably like right now we're running like 40 times or 30 times like at the load what we normally have. So it's really like people when the Bitcoin is like, let's say like increasing in price or decreasing really like let's say shiftly, then there's so much load. It's crazy. That's why also like Coinbase was down just recently. It's like we are also kind of struggling with this thing, because it's like you don't want to pay too much for the servers, like running them all the time at maximum load. But on the other hand, when like let's say like Bitcoin starts pumping, then everybody's in that basically.
How far is it going to be then until you get to the point where you're having to kind of turn up your backup servers?
No, like I think like in our case, like we're like constantly monitoring this. I mean, we're constantly like ramping up the servers when basically there's volatility. I mean, it's like kind of like a like a US, like for example, you know this like situation room in US, basically in White House, like they have some pictures when there's like, I think like when like Bitcoin's pumps, then basically my tech team is pretty much like in a situation room. Like really doing everything they can to keep it running.
Would you say your users are mostly buying or selling right now, or a bit of both?
So mostly like our users are buying.
Okay.
But like,
so you think it's
but that's like a generic thing. I don't know about like today. So basically, like definitely the run up to the current peak, and also like the 2020, they're mostly buying.
Okay. All right, that's cool. No, because I noticed you have like a bull and a bear indicator, sort of a bit like TradingView does. But yours is saying it's mostly bearish, whereas TradingViews is saying that it's very bullish.
I think it depends on the indicators what they're tracking. So we're taking it from the into the block. So it's into the block basically, like into the block.com. So we're just basically it's an API from these guys. So it depends probably like trading. You probably take like different inputs.
I'm not sure where they get their data from, but I've rarely seen TradingView as being bearish. TradingView always seems to be bullish to me. I don't know what that's all about. Whereas like the fear and greed index has been an extreme greed for about a week now. And normally when the fear and greed index gets to extreme greed, you sell, but it just keeps sticking there.
Yeah.
I love this point where all these guys that have been talking all this technical stuff saying, the RSI is oversold and this, that, and the other, it stays oversold. It stays extreme greed. And it just keeps going up and up and up. It's just like it completely breaks every technical indicator. I love it when Bitcoin's in this mood, because it just shows that no one knows what they're talking about, really.
Exactly. But it's pretty tricky, like for us as well. Like on one side, we like obviously legally we cannot give investment advice. But then again, like we just want to like yell to people, especially like obviously now it's getting to like already like let's say higher levels. But when the entire year, like my entire team was telling like buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. And now when it's like actually like these levels, it's pretty cool to see like there's so many thank you letters from the community, and like so many people have got into crypto. So it's like really impacted the world. It's cool to see.
That's nice.
No, it's really nice to hear, especially from the community, that it's doing well and they're loving what you're offering.
Yeah.
Well, but I think they're loving the money more, aren't they?
I guess it's a bit of a both, because yeah. But by the way, like one thing what will change, like you talked about community, like what's really different is like we did ICO as well in 2017, and then obviously like they said you cannot like share revenue basically like as an ICO company. So what we actually did, we're one of the only companies who actually did another token, what is an equity token. So it's like a convertible note, what you can, I mean, that's the one what you see in our application. So if you go there and basically see like startups and change, that's our actually equity like token. So it's like actually have equity exposure. So we allow for people to convert whether they want to have the basically prepayment token, what was the ICO token, or they want to actually have equity token. I think like I don't know any other European like ICO companies that did that. And actually people like this a lot. So like if you take this, like this year, I think it is like increased in value like 200%.
So does that entitle the holders to dividends then, like with the traditional stock holding?
Exactly. So basically, it's like a convertible note. So 792,000 CNG tokens will give you 1% of the company.
Wow.
So basically, our community is literally like they have two things. They have like there's 4.5 thousand people who hold like the ICO like prepayment token. So these are like the guys who want to like use like, let's say it's more like Kickstarter kind of thing. And then there are like 2.5 thousand people who hold our equity like tokens. So it's like it's pretty cool. To see like how this has grown basically in time, and also like basically how people like took it. Because many like ICO companies said, okay, I cannot pay interest because it's regulatory not allowed, and then basically like they didn't give any venues for users to actually have exposure to equity.
Yeah, it sort of almost takes away the point of investing, doesn't it?
Do you have a license then? You have a security token license to sell and trade security tokens?
So for Tesla and all of these basically derivatives, we have a partner in the Netherlands who basically who's an investment firm.
Okay, that makes it easier.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's a really close partner. So basically, we can like do a lot of things with them, and we're even talking about closer collaboration with them. So you never know what's going to happen.
Okay, so there's something interesting on the horizon then.
Exactly, definitely. But yeah.
Oh, you sure? Not even a little bit.
Does it have the letters NFT in it?
No, it's cannot disclose right now.
Fair enough.
We're gonna try, otherwise we get told off.
Yeah.
What's in your crypto portfolio right now?
You mean personally?
Yeah.
I mean personally, like my biggest weight is still in Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Okay.
So I think like Bitcoin still more and Ethereum like second. Like I'm like super bullish in what Ethereum is doing with like ETH 2.0. And I mean, obviously, like I have hold some of these like DeFi tokens as well, but this is like a really small portion basically. So yeah, that's how my basically like it's really like Bitcoin mostly, Ethereum, and then like let's say like a really small portion of like DeFi like tokens. What I really believe in, like synthetics and this kind of like let's say like kind of like a deep tech kind of like DeFi let's say products.
DeFi is a many-edged sword. There are some DeFi products that are doing what decentralized finance at its core, I expect, is setting out to do. And there are others that obviously with this whole, the yield farming, with all this nonsense, there are some companies that are just out there just to make a few bucks and kind of run away. But you think then that the concept of DeFi, the soul of DeFi has the potential to succeed?
Well, DeFi it's so many things, but definitely, like I mean, if you look at Change's white paper from 2017, it literally detailed DeFi. So it's like if you go Change white paper, you'll get it. It's like 40 pages of explaining this. So I'm definitely like super bullish on this space. I never knew it's going to be protocol kind of like let's say like I always thought it's still going to be more like fintech, like let's say products being built on some platform. But like I didn't imagine it's so protocol based. What's interesting, but for sure, I mean it's gonna happen. Like at some point, there's gonna be really like democratic financial system where everybody in the world can access the same basic, let's say, services. And I think DeFi is the way to provide it on top of these decentralized like cryptos. So yeah, I'm super bullish on that. Like I think like my biggest like question mark in general is like how much is this regulatory arbitrage? Like let's say like derivatives like CFDs are forbidden in the UK. Like now you can build like derivatives in on DeFi, and let's say FCA can do anything about it. Like obviously like my goal would be more like not only doing like this regulatory arbitrage, but really like building a system where everybody in the world, whether you're Indonesian, Singaporean, Estonian, like you have the same, let's say, like competitive marketplace of services what you can use. And I think DeFi does build a fundament for this.
Okay.
My last question is a pretty simple one. I think every Bitcoin holder has his price. What is your price? At what point do you sell your precious Bitcoin and step away?
By the way, I guess like maybe I'm too busy with change that I haven't had really like a chance to think about it.
So let me rephrase it. If someone said I'll take your Bitcoin off your hands for 50,000 each, would you make that trade or not?
Actually, I know. Like, I think, like, by the way, for me, it's not a number, but for me, it's arbitrary. Let's say, like, a question to myself. is there something what solves the problem what Bitcoin is solving much better? If I think only way, like I believe there's going to be some let's say currency, or let's say there's going to be some, let's say, people's currency in the world. Like for sure this is going to happen, and on top of this people's currency there's going to be services. So now I think the only way when I would sell is basically when I see that somebody is like super fast going beyond basically like Bitcoin or Ethereum. I think then I would kind of like bet on the new horse. Mm-hmm. But like for me, it's not like one specific number. For me, it's not a number. I wouldn't probably sell right now. Right now, I wouldn't sell with 50K.
So what criteria would this new currency have to have then? Like what's better for you? What's better than Bitcoin?
I mean, for me, like Bitcoin and Ethereum is basically like solving two different problems. That's why they are both in my portfolio. Mm-hmm. I think Bitcoin is solving the, let's say, like a store of value and digital gold basically aspect of this. So, for example, we're having this unprecedented money printing. I think Bitcoin is going to be purely from name recognition and how it's built. I think it's going to be the kind of like, let's say, holding the value. I mean, obviously, like Ethereum as let's say, is not so well suited for this, but Ethereum on the other hand is better for decentralized services. Mm-hmm. So like obviously because of the codability aspect and so on. So for, let's say, first answer to this question is I think they solve different things. So like I would need to look them separately. But if it I think obviously like in Ethereum's case it can be speed. Like if there's going to be like a competing project which has much more developers and they somehow manage to solve the speed in a decentralized way, not like EOS, mm-hmm. but like really like let's say like in a decentralized world, they basically solve it better. And let's say it becomes popular, then I would think about it. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin, I mean, to a certain extent, the same thing. Like, will there be? But I think Bitcoin's case is harder because they have such a big name recognition already. Mm-hmm. For like normal people, only know Bitcoin. So I think, and for being a digital gold of the world, I think name recognition is, basically like gets you a long way. So I think like Bitcoin's case is harder to kind of like, let's say like beat in that regard. So yeah, I guess like, I know it's a bit vague answer, but that's kind of how I think about it.
No, it makes absolute sense.
At least you didn't say XRP.
Never say XRP. We don't like to hear that.
We've covered everything I wanted to ask as well. Is there anything you want to add?
Anything you want to ask us?
So I think I actually have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. So one was that you said let's say yield farming. You make an example. Let's say there are a lot of greedy people in this let's say in this specific space, and not really focusing on innovation. Mm-hmm. But then you said there are some really strong fundamental DeFi projects. What kind of project do you think have really strong fundamental aspects in DeFi?
It's tricky. I can't think of any by name as such, but I'm sure if I had some time, I'd be able to come up with some. But in terms of a concept, for me, what DeFi means is a way for people to sort of borrow money, to lend, to save, to earn interest in a decentralized manner, so that they don't have to be credit checked or go through any kind of jump through any hoops in order to borrow money. If they've got some collateral to back it up with, that should be enough to borrow some money or to earn interest or whatever. So in terms of a concept, I'm sure there's companies out there that are trying to do that, but that's what I think DeFi should be. That's my version of it, is just a way for anyone, whoever you are, whatever credit history you've got or anything, if you've got something to back up what you want to borrow, you should be allowed to borrow or lend or save on that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's a good one. I mean, that really gets closer to our mission as well. Like our company's mission is to enable everybody to take part in real success. And I think mm-hmm. DeFi is really solving this mission in a good way.
Yeah, because I mean that's the whole point. It's decentralized finance. It's sort of, it does what it says on the tin. That's what it's supposed to be. It shouldn't be about greed or individuals trying to earn as much as they can from sort of farming some shitcoin. It's not how it's supposed mm-hmm. to be. And I think that sector is going to experience what the entire cryptocurrency sector has experienced since 2017, where there's a glut of these projects that come in and people use them and abuse them to try and get out what they can. And then the genuinely good products are the ones that last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if you'd count Polymath as DeFi. I think it's sort of one of the earlier ones that enables these people to do their shitcoin pump and dumps. But I like their sort of standard token creation business. So if you want to do some sort of crowdfunding and you want to give your users a token so you can reward them for it, like, they have all the framework there. You can just literally just pay them a fee and you go. Like, everything's already set up. You can just drag, drop, and go. And I think that will help companies that never thought about it before sort of dive into it. It makes it a bit easier than just going on like crowdfunding.com or crowdsource, whatever, and signing up. You can actually give your users something tangible.
Well, that's another great thing about this, about the crypto space and the blockchain space in total, is if you are creative, that there's so much room for inspiration, for innovation, especially when you look at things like the NFTs, asset tokens and collectibles or whatever. There's so much you can do on this platform. We've barely scratched the surface, and unfortunately, the ones that have come along so far, such as DeFi and those sort of things, it's been populated by people just trying to make a quick buck, as these things always are. But over time, we should see the people that really are like you guys at Change, the people that are trying to build something, try and create something, to try and be inclusive and help people. They should come to the fore in time.
Exactly. By the way, that's why we call the company Change, because like then we will always remember why we're here. We're not here for the money, but for the difference what we're going to make in the world.
It's a nice kind of mission statement, isn't it, as well? It's a mission statement in one word.
Exactly.
How can our listeners get hold of you?
So basically, if they go to changeinvest.com, they can see our product. So basically right now, it's basically like what we discussed today. You can basically invest in cryptos really easily. You can have a crypto-friendly card, and you can basically have like a margin trading through derivatives as well. So you can actually short Bitcoin if you want to. But in addition, if you go to changeinvest.com and you basically go to investor section, you will see our community. So in our Telegram, there's 2,000 people. We have our own token, basically CNG token, what is like tied to equity. So, I mean, you can kind of like, if you think it's going to be the next Coinbase, then basically you can make a little investment. But yeah, otherwise we're always welcoming new customers to our product. So yeah, changeinvest.com.
Great. Nice and easy.
I think like what you've built so far in terms of your channel as well. So good luck with this. And,
thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And it was a nice chat. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone out there in listener land, for tuning into the FullyCrypto podcast this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your podcast platform of choice, and let us know that you're out there through our social media accounts at FullyCrypto. And for all the latest quality cryptocurrency and blockchain news, reviews, opinion, and more, you need go no further than our website at fullycrypto.com. Alex, a pleasure as always.
Thank you for having me. It's been great fun. I've learned a lot.
Yeah, it's been interesting. And thank you guys for listening once again, and we'll speak to you soon.
Ciao, bye.
Bye-bye.